had this thing to do today. I wanted everybody to stand up. And why don't we all stand up? The reason I do this is like every great sporting event, you got to get into the thrill of the game. So the game today is to laugh. So I'm going to start out. I'm going to laugh pretty low and then get to a high crescendo. Just follow along. Have a seat. Thank you, sir. Death is easy. Comedy, let me tell you, it's hard. I'd like to thank Eli for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. My God, you thought I'd almost write it myself. But then again, I did. But I'm really excited. I can't tell you how excited and thrilled I am to be here with the Wauwatosa Kiwanis Club, the Wauwatosa. I'm going to think about that. How did Wauwatosa ever get its name? Well, I looked it up. It's an old Indian name. It means nothing to do on Saturday night. And then did you know that the Chamber of Commerce had to cancel they have this annual thing in Wauwatosa where they have the birth of Christ. They had to cancel it this year. Yeah, they couldn't find 3 wise men and a virgin. That joke was better than ones I've heard so far. No. Remember, I'm doing this off the top of my head, so give me a break, will you? Well, when I came in there, I said I'm really, really excited about being here. And a lot of you can identify with what I'm talking about because, believe me, at my age, breathing excites me. To give you an idea of how old I am, I've been taking Silver Centrum for so long, I now get cavity checked at the airport. And when I was born, you can identify with that. And when I was born, the Dead Sea was merely sick. Oh. I know. As Eli said, we're not trying to be funny. we're just up here giving a little humor. That's really what humor is all about. Humor really is, people think that to write and deliver humor, it has to be funny. That's totally opposite than what really is required. When I think of delivering humor or give a humorous speech or tell a story, I only worry about one person, and that's me. If I think it's funny, it's going to be funny. If I'm worried about whether you think it's funny, I'm probably going to die on the vine. So that's one of my first tips. You can write these down, sir. Okay. I have a little trepidation about speaking here at the Kiwanis Club today after Larry called me. As a friend of mine, he belongs to another Kiwanis Club out in Waukesha County. And it seemed like a couple weeks ago, he had the speaker come in, and he was a physician and a sex therapist. And he was going to talk about sexual relationships in marriage. Well, during the time that speaker was supposed to come on, he called up, he got stuck in Chicago, I don't know. So he turned over to my friend and he said, you need to speak on the subject tonight, after all, you're a physician. So he did, he got up and spoke on the subject. He got home that night and he told his wife, oh my God, honey, I had to give a speech in the Kiwanis Club. Oh, she said, oh, that's pretty nice. What'd you talk about? Well, he kind of was a little embarrassed talking about sexual relationships in marriage. So he said, I talked about sailing. Well, the next day she goes to the grocery store and runs into a wife of one of the Kiwanis. And the wife says, oh my God, your husband heard you speak last night, and he was thrilled. He must really be an expert. Well, the wife thought about that for a minute and says, well, geez, I don't think so. He's only done it 2 times. The first time his hat blew off, and the second time he started to throw up and swore he'd never do it again. Well, while we're here at the Kiwanis Club, I really like the way you opened up. I like this idea of getting up and telling a joke. We do that. We do it at a level of laughter. We actually have every one of our meetings, we have what we call a humor type. And we self-deprecation, exaggeration, sarcasm, on and on and on. And each time we have the meeting, we also pass out homework assignments, and then you try to write your humor and get up. And I'm going to pass these out just to give you a little bit of idea. Just take them and pass those around if you would. Okay? I'm not going to cover all these subjects. I don't think we have enough time. But it seems like you all like to laugh. Is that a fair statement? Okay, let me ask you a question. Raise your hand if you like to laugh. Raise your hand if you have a sense of humor. Raise your hand if you think you have imagination. Wow, this is unbelievable. All of you think you can laugh, think you have a sense of humor, and think you have imagination. So the question is, why don't you learn how to laugh better and to make other people laugh? Does that make sense to you? How many people would like to learn how to be funny? Raise your hand. Yeah. Oh, maybe you're already funny. Maybe you're already funny. Well, if you have a sense of humor, you can laugh, and you have an imagination, you too can actually learn how to do comedy and humor. It's something that almost everybody can do. The problem is that people think that you have to be born with a funny bone to learn how to use humor and comedy. Would you agree with that? You're going to be born to do this? It's totally not true at all. Humor is a science, it's not an art. Anybody, all of you, given the willingness to try and the courage to get up and perform, can and will be able to do humor. But like swimming, anybody can learn how to swim, but like swimming, you need a little training before you jump into the pool and drown in water, because you probably die. Same thing true with humor. You probably need a little bit more training before you jump on the stage, because you're going to drown in silence. And believe me, you wish you would have been dead. A lot of people think that not only do I need a funny bone, but there's something magic about humor. Ever see the people that get up, the comedians on Jay Leno and those type of comedians get up, they look like they have some kind of magic. They're born a little different than you and me. Well, that's totally not true. Well, speaking of magic, I had this great ocean liner sailing the Atlantic Ocean, and they had this magician, they hired this magician, and he was an illusionist. He made things disappear. Every night in a ship, he'd go down to the cabaret and put on a performance, and normally during the performance, he'd make something disappear. The problem was, as he was giving his performance, they had this parrot that kept circling around the cabaret. And every time he would come up and give the punchline or the illusionist, the carrot would give out the answer. He got it on his sleeve. Got it in his pocket. There's two people in there. And he'd go on. And it completely destroyed the magician's act. So he turned over and he grabbed the parrot one day and he looked at him and he said, "Look it, if you don't shut up, I'm going to stuff you like a Thanksgiving turkey. You got it?" Next night he gets down, he's doing his performance, and he has this illusion he's going to get rid of himself, and he has this big puff of smoke, and then the ship hits this iceberg. It's like the Titanic. It sinks. Well, the only two people left were the magician and the parrot. And after a couple days, the magician's out there laying on driftwood. He wakes up and he looks over, and here's this parrot gleaming at him with those beady eyes. He didn't say a word. Quiet as a church mouse. So they go on for another couple days. Silence. And finally, the parrot gets up and he says, "Okay, all right, what'd you do with the boat?"